And now we're on Daf Mem Dalet Amud Beis. Naru Mau Shetiase Shliach L'Kabel Gita Miad Bailek. The Gemara now, in the name of Rava, and Rava is asking this question of Nachman, is vacillating about the status of a Nara, according to the Chacham, who can receive her own get. Everybody agrees that she can receive her own get according to the Chacham. Ki Yad Avia Damya. Does she have the same status the Torah gave a second yad, because the Chacham, as opposed to Rabbi Yehuda, hold that Shtei Yadayim Zochos Kachas as far as Kabbalah's get is concerned, as far as Kiddushin, that's Machlokes Rabbi Yom Reish Lakish. O Kechatza Avia Damya. She's really just the extension of her father. Ki Yad Avia Damya Ma'avia Mashri Shliach Avhinami Mashri Shliach O Dilma Kechatzer Avia Damya V'ad Matya Gita Liyad Lo Megarsha. If she has her own yad, then we should compare it to the yad of her father. And just like the father could appoint a shliach, she could also appoint a shliach. Or should we say, no, she's only like the physical yad. The Gemara calls it a chatzer of her father to receive the get in her hands. But she's not the she's not really the makabelas as gita. She's just a chatzer. She's not a yad. So the Gemara says, is it really so that Rava vacillated on this point? Rava, Chasav Gerun is son of Yad Avda, Yoshenu Mishamarto, Hareze Get, Niar Eino Get. Rava says that if an Eved receives a get on behalf of the woman, in other words, she owns an Evet, can the Evet serve as her chotzer? Well, it all depends. Is he makabel al das atzmo or makabel al das adono, or in this case, the isha? If he's sleeping, and a misham arto, meaning the isha is now watching the Evet, then the Eved serves as her chotzer. But if the Eved is awake, he's makabel das atzmo, and he cannot serve and function as her chotzer. Right? Neighbor, amai eno get. The Gemara explains Rava's logic. When can a chotzer be kone on behalf of an isha? That's only if it's a chotzer mishtameres midas baile. And here, since the Eved is awake, he's Meshameres Atzmo, Al Dasa Atzmo, and therefore he cannot serve as the Chotzer. He's a Chotzer Sheni Mishtameres L'das Baile. Frek Gemara, V'i Salke Daita. And if you're going to raise the possibility that the Bas, when she's Zoche in the get, it's because she's like Chatzara via Damya, what are you talking about? She's like an Eved who's Niyah. Ki Mata Gitu Yoda Nami Lo Tagaris, Avilei Chotzer Mishtameres Lo Daita. Right? She's Shomeres L'das Atzma, not L'das Aviyah. So how could she possibly function as the Chotz Aviyah? And therefore the Gemara concludes, there's no question about it, that Rava holds that when she's makabel her own get, this Nara, she is the yad of her father. Elyon Pshitale Dechi Yad Aviyah. No question about it that Rava held the Dover Pashut that her yad is like the yad of Aviyah. So what was the vacillation here? What was the suffix of Rava? Did the Torah elevate her status as equal to that of the Yadaviyah? And therefore, she, like her father, could appoint a shliach? Or should we say no? She has a yad, but she's not like the yad of Aviyah. But don't introduce chotzer, because you're going to get into deep trouble if she's the chotzer of her father, because she's near like the Eved, and she cannot be shomer al das Aviyah. She's shomer al das atz. So this was a suffix that was presented by Rava to Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman is machriya. The Amalei. Rav Nachman says to Rava, ein osa shliach. She does not have the status of a full-fledged yad with the same koach of her father to be a separate independent yad, and she can make a shliach. She cannot make a shliach. So Rava turns back to Rav Nachman, Esvei and she, and Rava raises the following question from a Mishnah, Masechet Gittin on Daf Samachet. Ktana sha'omres kavali gitu. Eino get achiagia get liyada. If a Ketana says to a shliach, receive a get on my behalf. And again, we're going to be medayik dafka in the case of Ketana. It's not a get because she cannot, as a Ketana, appoint a shliach. So it's only when the get reaches our hands that's when the gerushin is kal. So Rav is medayik. Ha-nara, if a nara says to a shliach, his kavali giti, ha-raise a get. So it means that a nara could appoint a shliach for a gerushin, and the assumption is that she has a father. And if she has a father, then it means by definition that she has the status of a yad equal to that of her father. And therefore, just like her father could appoint a shliach, she could appoint a shliach anymore. Answers what we're talking about in that Mishnah in Gittin is a Ketana who does not have a father. She's the Yisoma Mi'aviyah. And the Tana is Machadish, that even though she's the Yisoma, and she's not in the Rishus of her father, she cannot make a Shliach because she's a Ketana. But a Nara, who doesn't have a father, and she's the Yisoma Mi'aviyah, she can appoint a Shliach because she has Das, and therefore she can be Mimana Shliach. And you can't tell me that that she has an inferior yad to that of her father because her father is dead. So the Gemara asks on this kash on this teretz, Hamidik Tani Sefer. In the Sefer, that Mishnah in Gittin, it says in Omar Avi, apparently the father is alive. And the father said to his Ketana, say v'kabel get lebiti. No, I'm sorry. The father says to his shliach, say v'kabel get lebiti. In Ratza Baal Lachzabo Lo Yachzib. In other words, as soon as the get reaches the hands of the shliach, and the father appointed this shliach to be makabel get on behalf of his daughter, is Lo Yachzib. The Baal, the gerushin is already chal, and therefore the Baal can't change anything. So from the fact that the Sefer is talking about a case where our father's alive, Mitzvah the ratio of the Yeshla Avaskin, so don't give me this answer that the father's dead. The Gemara says, no, the father is dead. The Mishnah is missing some words. Here's the way we're going to write the Mishnah. Rewrite the Mishnah. Ketana, who doesn't have a father, She Omra. His Kabbalah Gita and get Achiyovo, Achigia get Liyada, because she cannot appoint a Shliach. Hanara, Hareza get. The get will be Chal, because a Nara can appoint a Shliach. Because again, she doesn't have a father. If the father is alive and he appoints a shliach to receive the get, then the get is chal, and therefore, once the get reaches the hands of the shliach, she's megureshes, and the baal can't be chosim. But a nara who has a father cannot possibly be mamana shliach. And that's exactly what Rav Nachman concluded in answer to Rav's Safek Ein Ha Nara Yichol Asal Shliach. L'kabel is Gita. Itmar Ketanish is Kadsha Shalol L'das Aviyah. Omar Shmuel Tzricha Get Utzricha Mir. So what happens? The Ketana received Kiddushin on her behalf, and her father knew nothing about it. But when he found out about it, he was shosek. We don't know if he agrees, is that a tacit approval or not, and Shmuel says, you know what, because of this suffix, whether the Kiddushin could be chal, because we don't know if the father actually agreed, Sricha, both get and mir. No, we're going to treat her as if she is Mekudeshes, and at the same time as if she's not Mekudeshes. If she's not Mekudeshes, then for some reason, which the Gemara is going to explain why, she needs mir. If she's Mekudeshes, then obviously she needs a get. We don't know. There's a suffix bedina because we don't know if the father indicates his haskam. Amar Karna, Tvarim bego. This makes no sense. Im get lama miyun, immune lama get. You can't say that you need both get and miyun at the same time. get is for Kiddushin Torah. A miyun is for Kiddushin D'Rabbanan. That's not Chal D'Oraisa. So how can you say she needs both a get for Kiddushin Torah and miyun for Kiddushin D'Rabbanan? Amulei Hamar Ukva Ubei Dina V'Kafri. Mar Ukva was the Av Bezdin, and the Bezdin sat in the city of Kafre, and they were asked what their opinion is on this question. Afchua, the people who brought this question about Shmuel to Karna and so forth and so on, and then they brought the question in front of Mar Ukva, they switched it around. And Rashi seems to imply they did so deliberately. V'shadru lekami d'Rav. They said to Rav. And now they're quoting Shmuel as if Shmuel had said just the opposite, that get, what's the language of Gemara again? Get lama miyun and miyun lama get. Amalahu. So they hope that Rav would agree, with his close colleague Shmuel. But Rav says to Shlucha Elokim, I take a shvua, tzricha geru tzricha mir. That I hold like the true Shmuel, not like the Shmuel that you presented to me. V'chasli Lizara the Abba bar Abba, who is the father of Shmuel, and it's a Rachmanis on the offspring of the father of Shmuel, meaning Shmuel, the name Achi, that he would have said, Im get lamali miyun, im miyun lamali get, because we need both of them, which is exactly Shmuel's opinion, but not the way they turned it around. Again, Tosfos has a different pshat in the Sunya because he can't tolerate that they switched around the names in order to get Rav to agree, etc. The time of my, so why would you need both get and miyun? Omer of Acha Breid Rav Ika Tzricha get. Oh, we understand very well why we need a get. Shebenis Ratza of Kiddushin, because when the father heard about it and he was shosek, he indicated that Limafreya, he was happy with it, and therefore he accepted the Kiddushin, and she's Mikudesh Min Torah, and she can't marry anyone else without a get. So why does she need miyun, tzricha miyun? Shema lo nisratza of the Kiddushin v'yomru ein Kiddushin tovsim v'achosa. There's a suffix that maybe the get was not, the Kiddushin was not chal, the father's ratzon is not chal l'mafreya, and therefore, if you don't require miyun, then they may say that if he marries his wife's sister, she doesn't need a get. She can get married without a get because he's not married to her sister. When in truth is a suffix Kiddushin, and therefore she's a suffix achos ishto, and she needs a get. So the Chacham made a heker b'dover. They wanted to send out a message that this is not really a complete get, and therefore there's a problem of achos ishto. And how did they do so? They sort of conveyed a message that this is only Kiddushin D'Rabbanan, and the get is not really reliable. So again, just to repeat, on its side that the father's approval generates a full-fledged chalos issues, she needs a get to rice. On the side that maybe the get is not chal, so we have to sort of convey the message that the get is not really a good get, and it's not totally reliable, and therefore we require miyun. Rav Nachman says that this whole business of Rav and Shmuel, that maybe the father was misratzeh for the Kiddushin of a Ketana, even though she accepted the Kiddush Shalom Midas Ha'av, Usha Shivcho. It's because they already spoke to the father about this marriage, and he agreed at that time for the marriage. And if we have to be Choshesh, that afterwards, when he finds out that his daughter accepted Kiddushin, he really wanted the Kiddush Mafreya. Ula says that if a Ketana was married Shalol Ladas Aviyah, we're not Chosh to Kiddushin at all. And we don't even need Miyud. And the implication sounds like even though there was Shitchu. How could that be? Gemara says, Afal Pi the Shitchu? There was a Shidduch and the father agreed to this marriage, and now you're going to tell me that when she accepts the Kiddushin, it's not even a hair's break of a suffix. that maybe the father wants this Kiddushin and she doesn't even need a get, not even miyun. So the Gemara answers, Man de masniha, lo masniha. The one who presented Ula in a language that indicates that he's coming to disagree with Rav and Shmuel, lo masniha, he didn't have the words of Rav Nachman explaining Rav and Shmuel, that there was Shidduchim over here. Now here Rashi vacillates with two pshatim, but the simple pshat, but again it's more complicated halachically, but the simple pshat is that Enoch Hinami, Ula would hold that if there were no Shidduchim, you don't even need a get misafek. But it's certainly in the case of Shidduchim, for sure she needs a get, and she needs miyun, according to everybody. We'll just finish it up with one more line, because I realized that we went over time here. Ika di Amre, we have another presentation of Ula. Amar Ula Ketanish Iskat Shalom Das Avia, Afilu Miyun Eina Tzricha. So it means even if they had spoken to the father initially about the shidduch, about the zivug, nevertheless, when not chosh Kiddushin, she doesn't even need miyun, because Ula made a statement unto himself. He wasn't commenting on Rav and Shmuel, and Ula speaks and addresses even a case where there was shidduchim. Doesn't matter whether it's shidduchim or not shidduchim, she doesn't need even me. So we got up to Amir Hashem, Mosiv Rav Kahan. Okay then, so this is where we're up to here on Daf Mem Daled on base. So we're almost up to today's daf, which is Mem Hey. You'll let me know if you have time later on, and so forth and so on. Okay then. Shkayach. Thank you so much.